It's a visit from South Carolina. The Clemson Tigers, a Sweet 16 team a year ago, take on the Miami Hurricanes here in Coral Gables inside the Watsco Center. We're so glad you're here with us tonight. Mike Cousins, Jordan Cornette, the all-time leading shot blocker at Notre Dame. Miami just 2 wins in ACC play. Clemson, meanwhile, after a 1-5 start, has rattled off 4 straight wins, putting some toughness into their opponents.
Toughness indeed, Mike. And look, offenses can be hot, but it's the defense for Clemson that's been really hot, and that's how these guys have really got going in these last 4 games. The stretch has been generated that momentum from the effort defensively, and that is a staple for Brad Brownell's teams, and that has been a staple for Clemson's success. Clemson's defense has fueled the offense, which has generated wins.
On the 4-game winning streak, they've held 2 of the opponents, Georgia Tech and Wake Forest, to fewer than 45 points. And their interior defense has been very strong during that 4-game run as well.
Hey, look, it's a team game, I get it, but Elijah Thomas, you talk about 29 blocks, 19 of those have come at the hands and the length and athleticism of the big fella down low. Thomas has been special while generating offense, still providing that defense for this Tigers team. It's an old bunch. They play like it defensively.
And today, the Tigers have a favorite bracketologist. That's Joe Lenardi, who has them in to the field as a number 10 seed as of tonight's action.
Hey, it's that time of the year, Mike, where we're talking bubble talk, and this is a Clemson team that should be enjoying the love that they're getting right around Valentine's Day. They've earned it, but that puts pressure on them in this game. They should look at Miami like it's Duke, because this is a game where if you lose it, all that work you've done is for nothing. So this is not a must-have, but a gotta-have game for Clemson.
Brad Brownell's team got to the NCAA tournament a year ago, Sweet 16, second in his first 8 seasons after he went in 2011 as well. And looking to make it back-to-back trips this year for the school for the first time since the 09-10 seasons. And they go inside and started off with the big man, Elijah Thomas, for the game's first bucket.
Elijah's gotten off to a slow start in the last few games, only averaging 6.5 points, well below his average. Establishing him early is huge for Clemson.
And keeping him on the floor, too. Brownell says they're just a different team when he's not out there. His foul trouble has often plagued him, as it did in their Saturday win against Virginia Tech. Izundu grabs the offensive board, and the Hurricanes have continued life on their first possession. Lawrence with the drive, had some separation, tipped off the rim, and it's out of bounds. Last touch by the Tigers. Jim Larinaga, the Bronx native, in his 35th year as a head coach, has been to the NCAA tournament each of the last 3 seasons and 4 of his first 7, although this year 2-9 in the ACC. A down year for a variety of reasons, injury and otherwise, has made that hope pretty slim this year for the Hurricanes.
But Miami yet still has remained competitive. Look, in their last 3 games, yeah, they've only won 1 of those last 3 attempts, but I've really been impressed by the competitive fire and spirit. Almost knocked off Carolina, played really well against Notre Dame, and hung in versus Virginia. Back on their home floor, they like this matchup. Let's see how they compete.
Likes with a double team, goes behind the back for Lawrence, whose 3 is just a little bit too much on it. Playing 4 on the outside, all around Thomas, and he lost it off his foot out of bounds.
Like what Clemson's trying to do early. They're really trying to establish the big fella Thomas. It's not like there's a distinct advantage against Izundu, who's a good defender down low, but they want to establish one of their viable scoring threats. A Clemson team that can go through lulls, dry spells without scoring, play through the paint, and get yourself going.
Reed too much on the pull-up. Now here comes Likes, coming off a career-best day 3-point shooting-wise against North Carolina. That's a long 2. He went 5 for 11 from 3 and played a career-high 41 minutes. He's got to be out on the floor for them to be a winning team, but especially when they're down to a rotation of 7 men, he's going to play 41 out of 45 minutes.
And a heavy reliance from the three-point line early for the Canes. It's not doing them any service right now. Got to explore opportunities within the arc. Let's see what they do here on this offensive set.
Jordan, their game Saturday against North Carolina, they lost in overtime 88-85. Had the chance to be one of the most surprising results in the conference this year had they been able to pull off the win. There's the bucket from Vasiljevic. Since a win against Wake Forest back on January 12th, Miami has lost 6 of 7.
Good look down low.
Izundu had a great opportunity. He lost it. Sims started the break. Here's Reed down the right side of the lane, and it spins out on him. And the rebound pinballs around under the basket.
Got advantage, got to run.
Johnson goes ahead of the field and bowling balls his way into Thomas. And a blocking foul on the big man for Clemson.
And this is aggressive basketball. Understanding you don't need to do it from the three-point line. Vasiljevic takes what the defense gives him, can pose a couple prodding dribbles, and explores the gap for 2. High IQ basketball, great execution.
Likes the 4th leading scorer in the ACC. Here's Izundu outside his scoring range, who gives it back to the big man. That was the type of play that Jim Larinaga told them to try and avoid earlier today. Essentially a dribble handoff because of how well Clemson switches.
And when they switch that hard, it's got to be a couple retreat dribbles from Likes to get away from the defense, create that spacing, then dump down to Izundu, who's wide open. When you got 2 defenders on you, there's an advantage somewhere.
Mitchell had his shot altered by Likes. All of 5'7", now gets another opportunity from the wing. He goes 0 for 2. And a foul underneath the basket on the Hurricanes. Low scoring in the early going as Miami doubles up Clemson.
PN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Walt Disney World Resort and Mazda. Feel alive.
Number 1 Tennessee in action right now, late first half, and they've got a 41-29 lead over the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Second time that game day is going to Lexington this year as well. So that'll be fun to see a highly contested matchup there between Tennessee and Kentucky. How about, did you see the final? Of course, there's a lot that went down to the buzzer last night. You had the Duke game. You also had LSU and Kentucky on a bit of a contentious finale last night.
Really interesting replay. The lack of it works against Kentucky. The use of replay works against Louisville in their matchup. Crazy night in college hoops. That's why we come back. Best reality TV there is.
Like spinning to the basket, Izundu slapping it out for Johnson.
Miami's getting shots that they want. These are wide open looks from the perimeter. Just cannot convert. You got to imagine percentages will fall in their favor, but it's not defense that's overwhelming them, settling for ones that they cannot complete.
Teams are combined 4 for 21 from the floor through the first 5.5 minutes.
And I'd look for Miami, who's struggling to get any offense going, to run their 5-7 dynamo off some ball screens and Likes, see what gaps he can pursue, either drive and kick, or heck, get to the rim and finish. But you got to try to generate some energy, some activity offensively, and it starts with your best player.
Down to 8 to shoot. Likes to the corner for Vasiljevic. Wide on the three-pointer for the junior from Australia, who was born in Canada and moved down under at age 6. Tigers winners of 4 straight. Pitt, Wake, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech. Now going the other way, and margin of victory, an average of 18 points for them.
And this is a guy in Likes who's just played his whole life being small. Understands that he needs to sell those kind of plays to the officials right in front of him. Reed dipped the shoulder just enough to allow Likes to sell it. Otherwise, Likes would have been overwhelmed there. So a heady play from the point guard to generate a turnover.
First foul on Reed, displacing the defender who had legal guarding position. He sits, and Likes sits momentarily as well. Izundu, the big man, goes to the bench, which brings in Sam Wardenberg, who plays in his spot under the basket, along with Anthony Mack, the redshirt freshman transfer from Wyoming.
Going back to it, Reed in the post right there out of necessity because Likes is so small. Clemson, for a team that, again, struggles to score the ball, those are advantages and mismatches you must exploit.
Lawrence trying to dump it over the shoulder, unable to finish it. So line up with not as much firepower with Izundu and Likes on the bench. Johnson trying to generate some offense, takes the bump from Sims and earns himself a pair of free throws.
And an active defense provides that. An errant pass, perhaps a tad bit lazy, and you shoot the gap in Johnson and get something going the other way. That can kickstart your offense, simply seeing the ball go through the basket, whether it's via a free throw, a steal for a layup. What consistently should always be there, the defensive effort.
Johnson gets the first. Transfer from Florida Gulf Coast University. Played 3 years there. Played at Miami's Norland High School. Won back-to-back state titles. And when he was transferring, you know who put them on to Zach Johnson was DeJuan Hernandez.
Oh, wow.
Where they were teammates in high school.
There you go.
Hernandez, who's been declared ineligible by the NCAA for the remainder of this year and 40% of next year. However, arbitrarily that may have been decided. There he is at the head of the bench for the Hurricanes, still practicing with the team as he has been for the last several weeks since he made that announcement.
You'll never make me understand how it's in the student-athlete's best interest when they make a mistake to take away the opportunity for them to continue to be a student-athlete. I just don't like the message that's being sent there. It's unfortunate for Hernandez, and I disagree with the rule.
Well, at least had there been some clarity to it to say, hey, here's how we came to not only the punishment, but also the length of the punishment to have a standard, you know, if you're very different to be in a court of law, but you have sentencing guidelines. Nothing such applies for the NCAA's decision as it applies to Hernandez.
Just unfortunate. From everybody I've talked to, from a lot of different vantage points, Hernandez is a great young man, a team-first guy, loves the game, does all the right things, made a mistake. But now that's the domino effect. Rodney Miller is a 7-foot redshirt from Oak Hill Academy that
sitting to his right,
incredibly talented player that they decided to sit out this year because he was going to be buried behind Hernandez. Hernandez was going to get those minutes. So now Rodney Miller, who could have helped this team, a team that finds themselves at the bottom of the ACC because of this ruling, it affects a lot of people. It's unfortunate. Yes, a mistake from Hernandez, but gone a little too far.
Wardenberg takes a hard hit as he goes to the basket, colliding with Hunter Tyson, the freshman from outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, his second foul.
Nice use of the shot fake right there, just a repetition play in practice. Wardenberg has that versatility to exploit that mismatch. White not comfortable guarding outside, take it to the rim. When you go hard to the rim, it puts the pressure on the officials because they see that contact to blow it and get you the free throw line.
Foul on Tyson was not his second, rather his first on the 6'8" freshman, who came out aggressive last game, dropped in 5 points in just 11 minutes against the Hokies. First shot, a three, came up empty. Next time he got the ball, drove to the basket and had a nice finish. Wardenberg averaging about 6 a game for a team that has 5 players averaging at least 11 points. The only team among the Power 5 conferences and the Big East as well to have 5 players averaging at least 11. Someone had a necessity. Well, David Scarra performing his best impersonation of a waiter delivering a basketball, also called for the travel.
Or Bradley Beal, if it's in the NBA, that's a no call. Scarra's like, I'm watching the pros get away with it, why not me?
He's in the NBA, he gets
not
3
quite,
more steps.
Not quite Bradley Beal, huh, Mike?
An extravaganza of celebrities starts Friday in Charlotte, the Celebrity All-Star Game on ESPN. You'll have Jay Williams, you'll have Quavo. One celebrity we won't see, though, Tyler Perry, unfortunately, will not be making an appearance But
Oh!
we did find a reasonable replacement, and it just happens to be the guy sitting to my right, Jordan Cornette.
Oh, with friends like you guys. Man. I don't see it. I got to be honest. I don't see it.
I do.
You do see it.
I see it in the hair. I see it in the facial hair as well.
But it's interesting because you were just talking about how good-looking a man Tyler Perry is, so I guess I'll ride with it.
You know what? I don't think I see the comparison anymore. It suddenly come up with amnesia.
Man, I'm just trying to come here and do a ball game.
My cousin's Jordan Cornette, working here from Coral Gables. But don't you get that all the time?
Yeah, they tell me that I'm Tyler Perry with a weight issue. I need to lose maybe a little bit more. He's a handsome guy. I'll take it. There's worse to be called. I've walked through the airport, and I've been called Charles Barkley before. So I'll take Tyler Perry, I guess is what I'm getting at, thankfully. Appreciate it.
Everybody likes Chuck.
I'll take that, too. I guess it's a win all across the board. Can we go back to the basketball game and get my ugly mug off the camera?
Shots continue to not drop for both teams, which coming out of the timeout, they'd each missed 10 of their last 11 shots.
And I guess this is a segue where I say, speaking of ugly.
Shooting percentages, yes. Neither team shooting better than 16% at the moment. Foul on Miami's Ibuka Izundu, the first on the big man.
Love how you go from my face to bad shooting percentages. Trying to tell me something. Take me back to a dark place. All right, here we go. Ball in the basket. See if Miami can respond here. Let's get some offense.
Lawrence blows right by Skara. That's a nice move against a guy who's widely considered to be one of the better defenders in the league and did a lockdown job on Nickeil Alexander-Walker over the weekend.
And it's almost like Skara was expecting Lawrence to attempt that three-point shot and caught him by surprise with the aggressive drive. More of that would do Miami some good here. Get away from the reliance of that three-point shot. Pursue some twos.
Skara held Nickeil Alexander-Walker, widely considered to be potential first-round draft pick in this coming NBA draft, to 3 for 14 in that 8-point win over the Hokies at Littlejohn over the weekend.
And here you go. Skara just upright, not ready to defend. And any offensive player, that's when you light up because you know you have the advantage. Direct line to the basket for the layup.
What a relief it was for Brad Brownell to get him back as well. He announced in April his plans to go play professionally overseas. He's originally from Croatia after he got his economics degree. And now coming back for one more year, he's studying sociology.
And Coach described him as a mild-mannered young man that wants to do what's best for the team and really sees the value it provides as a defender. But he can shoot it, too. And when they get him knocking down shots, a guy who shoots around 38% from distance, that's a big part of the success for Clemson. Can they knock down some threes? Look, they don't have to blaze you with double-figure threes. When they knock down 7 or more three-point shots, they are 9-0 on the season. So maybe as a fan of Clemson basketball, you want to track, can they get to 7 threes or more? Because usually it's reason for optimism.
Well, both teams today combined 0 for 15 from 3.
And there goes the optimism.
Ben Rosier starts. They've got 5 to shoot. And on the run, Mitchell front rims it. Lawrence has it. The Hurricanes briefly have numbers. Wardenberg has turned himself into a driver this year. That ball out of bounds and stays with Miami. 9:37 first half and a combined 17 points.
Now, these are the kind of games when you understand there's a lot of misses. You got to think, let's be advantageous. Let's take those misses and let's go. Let's run off those. That can generate the fast break. It doesn't have to be the steal. It can be a wild miss. Get out and beat that defense down. You can't score in a half court. Get early offense.
4 on 3 for Clemson on the break. And a 1-on-1 take from Reed yields no points. Now Likes takes a bump, goes to the basket. And that was tipped. But apparently, as the ball was on its way up toward its apex rather than on the way down, which would have been goaltending.
I don't know. Had a lot of air.
Yeah, tough.
A 5-7 delivery.
Tough to make that quick call. And Thomas looking for a whistle as he goes to the basket, has a conversation with Bert Smith, the near side official, as he comes back down the floor.
Let me tell you, that never works. Officials don't care what you have to say. Just play the game. Thomas played it well in that sequence with the shot block. in the delivery on the post.
Do you think it can work against you to make the official mad and not want to call a foul next time?
If I could give an official the microphone right now, it would be a resounding yes. No question. And here's Thomas just showing a little bit of something to his game. We call this putting some sauce on it. That drop step pivot catches Izundu, makes him dance from the perimeter, ultimately down to the post.
In Cleveland, they now call it putting some Stauskas on it.
Yeah, that's right. Stauskas is there.
After his name bounced around several rosters, ended up with the Cavaliers.
Former lottery pick.
And Michigan Wolverine. And there's Reed, leading scorer for the Tigers, 19 a game, fourth in the ACC. Finding himself seated with 2 fouls.
It's a tough matchup. At 6'3", he's having to run around with Likes at 5'7". Likes can wear you out. Fatigue sets in, and you get away from the fundamentals. Begin to foul, earn yourself a seat on the bench. Likes doesn't necessarily need to score to be effective, and he's having that impact.
A drop in for Sims, who turns over his shoulder and drops 2 points on Anthony Lawrence. So with Reed on the bench, it'll be up to the remaining Tigers on the floor to try and pick up the scoring slack. Next highest scorer on the floor right now, Elijah Thomas at 13 a game, as he tries to get in front of Izundu in the post. Johnson uses his big man as a screen and misses a long 2-point jumper. Here's Trapp, who runs point with Reed on the bench. Corner 3, no good for Tyson, who'd only made 6 out of 30 coming in.
Now, to me, that's an empty transition opportunity. You get the ball off the miss, you're pushing it. Nobody's running to a spot with a purpose to score the ball. Everybody's just floating around the three-point line, so you don't convert. Meanwhile, Miami takes advantage on the other side with Likes generating his own offense. Off misses in transition, the 4 guys who don't have the ball got to get to a scoring spot, or else it's all for naught.
As it was on that possession defensively for Miami, as the help defense just fell asleep, everybody hugging their defender. Likes pocket pass, Izundu hurls it up and draws the foul. Quick shots, not always good, but when you're the leading scorer on the team, it's all right.
No question, Miami likes this one from distance. The 5-7 connection for 3. Miami heating up.
Back in Bristol, Tennessee, number 1 in the country, taking on South Carolina over on the SEC Network. 8 Vols have scored, but none of them in double figures. Admiral with a bucket right there. Doesn't matter. 13-point lead for Tennessee at the half. Meanwhile, Florida State just a 3-point advantage over Wake Forest right now in the ACC. Mike, Jordan, back to y'all.
The Deeks can hang tough sometimes. They're 9-13 coming into play today, looking for their 10th win of the year. Meanwhile, in Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology out today, Clemson is one of 8 ACC teams into the field as they try and get in for back-to-back seasons. After going to the Sweet 16 last year, they picked up a win against New Mexico State in their first game, then a nice big win over Auburn before ultimately succumbing to Kansas.
And the Tigers better pick it up here. Coming into this game, I build it as it's not a must-have, but it is a gotta-have for Clemson. For a team that's worked their way into the tournament field, you take a huge step back if you can't get this win on the road against Miami, a very tough out despite what their record shows. So this is huge for Clemson. Can they start to put it together here in the last 6 minutes of the first half?
So it's kind of like you're saying if you go check the mail and it's right after Christmas, you just paid off all your credit card bills from all your Christmas presents, but your favorite brand sends you a 40% off coupon. You don't have to have it. You just really want to have it, right?
That's exactly the analogy that works, Mike. Precisely.
We've all been there.
And here you go. You can put it on a deck in the dribble. Spin to win off the glass. Nice kiss. High-level finish coming from Clyde Trapp, the sophomore guard.
Clyde Trapp meditates before games, uses the Headspace app, and says it just helps him get into a groove. He got put onto that, actually, by a family friend, a name that's pretty familiar, P.J. Dozier, the former South Carolina Gamecock.
Oh, yeah.
10 minutes is all it takes, he says, to get himself into the right space because he's got so much going through his head that it just helps him funnel all his basketball thoughts into one place and get into the right state of mind before game time.
Hold up, he's in college, right? All that's going on in his head, tell him to wait for the real world.
He doesn't know what he doesn't know, Jordan.
Then he'll really need to meditate. I need to practice that myself.
5.5 to go here in the first half. Likes unable to shake Skara from the top of the key. Inside, Izundu. Double rim tapping out. Mitchell across for Skara. Best percentage-wise three-point shooter on the team. And the Tigers lost it long back to Miami.
And you got to be happy with that offensive possession in terms of transition. Look, you want a conversion, but I love Mitchell on the push, gets into the teeth of the defense, then kicks out to a ready-made catch-and-shoot guy in Skara. Skara simply can't make the shot, something that's plagued both teams here in the first 15 minutes of regulation. But at least you're trying with a purpose in transition to get something going.
Tigers 0 for 10 from 3 right now. We're on record-setting pace, by the way, at least for this season. Clemson shooting 29.2%, which is significantly better than Miami's 18.2%. The lowest field goal percentage for a team that won an ACC game this year. You want to guess who it was? It's a very efficient team. A team you're fond of. A team you think will go deep into the postseason. They shot 29.8% in a January 9th win over Georgia Tech.
Wow. I would have thought it'd be that North Carolina State game.
The 24-point performance, yeah.
There's been some record lows that have still been highs on the other end for other teams. Emotional highs.
Except you had to win the game.
Yeah.
24 points ain't going to win you a game.
That's true.
Thomas' first free throw is good. 66% from the stripe for the senior out of Dallas, who began his career at Texas A&M. And now in his third season on the court with the Tigers.
Really keying on likes here in the last 5 minutes of the first half for Miami. When his team starts dragging, look no further than that North Carolina performance where he finished with 27. This is a guy that can put the team on his back. Don't worry about how tall he is. He's got the heart of a champion. He needs to be more active and ball dominant here. Passing it off, he needs to get back to that thing. These are mismatches not only defensively when he's guarding, can the offense exploit him, he can take advantage of his size and utilize it himself offensively.
Well, he's trying to set up his teammates as well. He finds Lawrence. Miami now 1 for 9 from 3. And a quick response at the other end. It gives Clemson the lead, 18-16.
Shelton Mitchell, the lucky lefty, gets it going. He's had that perimeter touch. This one comes inside the arc, but 12 of 21 from 3 in his last 4 games. A guy that struggled mightily from mid-December to mid-January with that jumper. Maybe it was the injury. Maybe his knee was bothering him a little bit. Regardless, he sees it going there. Could he build?
Jump ball stays with the Hurricanes. 8 to shoot after Likes leaped into 2 defenders. He is fearless, and at 5'7", he is peerless as well. Off the screen, quick 2. Got it.
And that's what I'm talking about. Clyde Trapp goes 6'4". That quick burst from a 5'7" guy is almost like a running back trying to elude a tackler. It's Barry Sanders-like. So he can create that space, and with a quick release, he can find success.
Mitchell, who just turned 24 last month, missed that one. They'd love to score his age by the time this half is over. Thomas gets the putback. So Thomas has 6 for the Tigers. Leading scorer for Miami right now is Likes with 5. Lawrence cold to start the game, just 1 of 7 from the floor. Johnson takes the freshman. Newman off the drive, gets the foul and the bucket. He'll go to the free throw line when we come back to Coral Gables as the Hurricanes try and break the tie.
Hesitation for some devastation. Switches hands a la Michael Jordan. Maybe not quite, but it's good for the old-fashioned three-point play opportunity.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Twix. It's time to decide.
Clemson and Miami offenses have been underwater so far in this game. Neither team shooting better than 35%. With Jordan Cornette, Mike Cousins, glad to have you with us. David Scarr, one of the better defenders in the ACC. And the leading scorer right now for Clemson, Elijah Thomas, their big man. And it's a free throw coming up here for Zach Johnson, the redshirt senior for Miami. And the native here of South Florida to try and get the Hurricanes to legal age. And they're just short.
Not quite. In a game of flagrant futility so far, absolutely Elijah Thomas has been a bright spot. I'd look to Clemson to continue to feed the big fella. Be gluttonous down on that low block.
Now they've got the size advantage there with Thomas working against Wardenberg, who bumps him off the post.
Play high-low. Hit Scarr that ball at the mid-post.
Shot clock was inside 5 seconds, so that was the best look they could come up with there from Shelton Mitchell. All 5 Miami players outside the paint. It frees up space for Likes, who has the ball poked away. Newman comes up with it, sends it ahead for Trapp, and a kick to the corner. Mitchell gets it back to Newman. Credit to Wardenberg now, a second straight possession, where he's done a good job denying the pass, the entry feed that the Tigers are looking for to Thomas. And as Likes hits the deck, he draws the foul, and second time he's drawn an offensive foul today.
Yeah, great sell. Trapp is a ball stopper right here. Trying to do too much. Does use that hand to extend. Just enough contact for Likes to sell it. But Trapp needs to catch that thing moving. Move it via airspace with the pass. Then you get that defense shifting. And then a potential advantage to pursue a gap presents itself. Too much dribbling in one position makes you very easy to guard and then ultimately violate.
Likes a deep three. He's already hit from there once, and he does it again to break the tie.
Likes has been doing too much dribbling this game, perhaps. I like when he's moving as a catch-and-shoot guy. At his size, he can maneuver in and out of screens to catch and shoot, or just simply make that defense play off him, catch and shoot. Too much dribbling from Likes. Make it a little bit easier on yourself.
Baseline pass, tipped out of bounds, 8 seconds to shoot.
No movement through screens right here. This is going to be a catch and shoot, but that defense has to commit, and when they sag off just enough, Likes makes them pay. Has Miami found a formula for offensive success? We shall see when we return.
Chris Conner, Sean Farnham, Dallin Cuff in studio. E-Trade halftime coming your way in just a little bit. We got highlights of the number 1 team in the country, Tennessee, in action. But the biggest story in all basketball is happening in the Los Angeles area right now.
We got to figure this out. Farnham, your son and wife have been tossed out of an 8th grade boys game?
I don't know what's going on back at home. I got to figure this out.
Trouble.
Jordan, did you ever get kicked out of a game when you were in the 8th grade?
In the 8th grade.
But I knew the Farnhams were fiery competitors. That's next level. I respect it. Sean seems so composed, but maybe there's something we don't know about, huh?
Maybe there's something we don't know about with you because you dodged the question. You didn't answer whether you'd ever been kicked out of a game.
No, I was. The short answer there is no. I'm trying to go back and think. No, I was a pretty cool customer.
Fouls on Miami, Zach Johnson, his first. And Mitchell cans the free throw.
I expect an update. I mean, in the second half, right? Like, that can't be left open-ended. I got to know what happened. I need details.
We'd expect nothing more than thorough information from our friendly trio back in the studio. We got a good game to follow us tonight as well. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Number 15 team in the country, Texas Tech, one of the best defensive squads in the country as well. Looking for a big win. It's Stillwater.
Wardenberg hesitant to shoot the three right there. That opportunity's there. You got to let it fly. Despite the struggles from three, off the exchange, you have an advantage. and I know his percentages have been inconsistent, so the lack of confidence is there. But shooter's got to shoot. Wardberg has that to his game.
Coming up Saturday, 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation are on ESPN. Zion Williamson and Duke, after a near miraculous comeback last night, take on NC State at 6 Eastern, and then number 1 Tennessee trying to pick up a win tonight against South Carolina, and a top 5 matchup inside Rupp Arena Saturday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. It's a sonic blockbuster with both games also on the ESPN app. Largest comeback in the last 10 minutes of a game in regulation yesterday ever in the NCAA record books for Duke, down by 23 to come back and win it over Louisville, which will play host Saturday at noon on ESPN to get the college basketball day started against these Clemson Tigers.
I'll tell you what, watching Louisville last night, it was tough to watch. It was like watching John Favreau leave that voicemail in Swingers. A total meltdown. Total, complete meltdown. Hang up the phone, John. Hang up the phone.
Likes the drive and kick. Johnson fumbles it. 8 to shoot. Floating across the lane. He back rims it. 10 seconds. Mitchell sees that, slows it down for the final shot.
Gotta go.
Off the high screen, he fades and scores as time expires on the first half. So we'll go to the half with neither team shooting even 40%. Chris Likes the offensive engine for the Canes, but it's the Tigers by 2. It's Cotter, Cup, and Farnham in the studio at the break. Welcome back to the Watsco Center here in Coral Gables, Florida, the home of the Miami Hurricanes. Down by 2 at the break, 26-24 is the lead for the Clemson Tigers. This is the ACC on ESPN. Clemson trying to make a 4-game winning streak into 5. Their 2-point lead at the half. So far, so good. Welcome back inside. My cousin's Jordan Cornett. Let's make it simple. What's the path to victory for both teams in the final 20?
Well, both teams are going in the locker room clearly upset with how they looked offensively. But if I'm Clemson, I'm saying, hey, look, there is a glimmer of hope. We've had success playing through Elijah Thomas down low. His strength and level of physicality is unrivaled by the opposition. Throw it down low, let him make decisions. Allow Thomas to be the facilitator, and good things will happen for Clemson's offense. Conversely, for the Canes, Chris Likes, I love it when he's ball dominant. He gave up his grandmother before he gave up the dribble. Well, in this case, he hasn't been able to find those gaps. So run the 5'7" dynamo off screens, make him a catch-and-shoot guy. He will achieve better success via that route.
Now, if you're a fan of the law of averages, both teams' field goal percentages will rise significantly in the second half, as will their three-point shooting percentages. A combined 2 for 21 with both of those threes. The only 2 made in the game so far belonging to Chris Likes, who's got 8 to lead the Canes, and 10 from Shelton Mitchell is a game high for the Tigers. Clemson 15-8, 5-5 in the ACC. Started off the year 1-5 in league play. It was a tough go. Hard to find a more difficult slate to begin conference play. Games at Duke, Syracuse, Florida State, NC State. A game they should have won in Raleigh, and a game against Virginia as well. There's a 3 from Anthony Lawrence. And now they've won 4 straight, even in the league. The Hurricanes 10-13 and 2-9 in ACC play with wins over Wake and Notre Dame.
So Clemson's found their groove. Clemson, by all accounts, we can agree, like Joe's saying, is a tournament team right now.
Joe Lunardi has him in a number 10 seed.
So that all changes if they can't handle business right here. Then it's an uphill climb as opposed to in a good position with momentum. This is a must-have game for Clemson. So lock in for these next 19 minutes because a lot is on the line for Clemson. Yes, it's only February, but this is what we call winning time. Money-making time, building that resume. A lot of deflation in play here if Clemson can't get it done here this season.
It's like a Cold Stone flavor. You've got to have it.
I'm not a Cold Stone guy. I'm on his keto diet. That's for another time or place. Offensively, Likes getting the long ball to go. And this is a good sign for Miami offensively to see some possessions consecutively putting the ball in the basket.
Foul as Reed hits the deck, and they missed him a good portion in the first half. The foul goes on Johnson, his second. So 39th in the net, the NCAA evaluation tool, although we're not exactly sure how it's calculated. And a 10 seed, according to Joe Lunardi. They got their first quality win on Saturday against Virginia Tech. Schedule not the strongest, but in the ACC, you got a lot of chances to bolster the resume in the home stretch.
Depending on how 500 goes, I think a 500 record in conference could get a team in the tournament.
I don't know. I think
depends on who those wins are against. Mike,
I think
but
the line
the
generally tends to be around 10 league wins, 11, and you're a lot more comfortable.
No question.
Third foul on Ibuka Izundu.
Win the games.
And with that foul on Izundu, disappointment as he goes to the bench, replaced by Sam Wardenberg. This gives a chance for Clemson to funnel the ball back inside.
Hey, took the words right out of my mouth, Mike. That's exactly what you want to do. Izundu is the physical player on the opposition in the post. He's the body most ready-made to defend Thomas down low. With him on the bench, Wardenberg, it's a young guy with a lean frame, could easily be overmatched. You got to think the game here. That's how you win on the road, winning 50-50 basketballs, but thinking it through. The advantage down low with Thomas.
After a very thorough mopping of the lane, players are ready to go once again. Reads from 15 feet. Boosted his scoring from last year, averaged 16 a game, up to 19 this year, and really became their top offensive threat after Dante Grantham was lost for the year with the ACL injury. Lawrence. Johnson wasn't ready in the corner, bounced it off of Skara's leg, and it stays here 10 on the shot clock.
Let's take another look here. I think that thing might have came off of Miami. Oh, it did hit
Skara's knee.
Caught Skara's leg.
Lawrence wants to be a creator. Instead, has it stripped.
Oh, you got to get space. Yeah, you got to allow Thomas to operate.
And here's Sims from three. And he's got it. First made triple of the night for the Tigers. Puts them up 33-30.
Fundamentally sound basketball. I talked about Thomas being that facilitator down low. He's a high IQ guy. He's an old guy who's played a lot of basketball. Allow him to make the decision. It allows for the kick out. It allows for the three from Sims.
Vasiljevic hits the three. Playing at a much lighter weight this year. Dropped about 20 pounds in the offseason. Talked with him today about his diet and how he's changed it. You mentioned your diet. Sounds miserable at times, to be quite honest.
Well,
but,
yeah.
you know, Vasiljevic said the thing he missed the most, and I can empathize with this, Nutella.
Yeah, Nutella.
Which I would like to say, it's not properly advertised. Hazelnut spread does not really do it justice.
You're saying that's a weak sell,
It makes it sound healthy.
But it over-delivers. Oh, yeah, you're right there, too. Whole lot of sugar.
Maybe it makes you feel better about eating it, but he's down to just 2 meals a day. Breakfast meal around 10:30 or so, eggs and toast, and then about 5 o'clock, dinner, vegetables, chicken, beef, lamb, whatever it might be. And he said did that with his girlfriend. She partnered with him on the diet, helped him slim down, and helped him on the court as well, moving around much more agile. A wide open three-point try goes off the rim for Sims. Likes sizes up Thomas, spins through the lane. Oh, what a finish, Chris Likes.
Wow.
Likes to Wardenberg. The extra pass to the corner. Wide open for Wardenberg. Three-pointer is good. Miami's on a bit of a hot streak. And at 7, they've got their largest lead of the day. Timeout, Clemson.
Look at the video and prepare to hit the likes button. The crowd loves it. His teammates love it. They call that spinning to win. 5'7". You can't tell me size matters. Likes doing it to him.
Tennessee is just a couple minutes away from picking up a win over South Carolina over on the SEC Network. So a win tonight for Tennessee puts them 11-0 going into Saturday's game in SEC play. And if Kentucky wins to drop Tennessee to 11-1 and LSU beats Georgia, you've got a tie 11-1 at the top of the SEC.
A lot of good teams in that conference. I really like Tennessee. I think Tennessee's the best team right now in the country. And that's even in the face of what Duke did last night.
Miami is on a good run right now. 10 unanswered for the Hurricanes. Timeout with 14:44 to go.
Chris Likes as entertaining as they come in a college game at 5'7", utilizing his size, understanding he plays small with the teardrop. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Then he puts it on the deck. He spins, he wins. Probably could have used the offhand, but gathered himself composed enough to lift and finish with his strong hand. We saw him drop 27 on the Tar Heels a few nights ago. He feels locked in the second half. Can he put together a big second half, put his team on his back, and start to make things tough for Clemson?
He's no prima donna. He's certainly been able to evita the defense tonight on his way to a game-high 15 points.
The payoff, thank you, my friend. But his teammates now playing off of him. He's fueling the guys, so now the guys around him feel confident. That's what a true leader gives you, and now everybody's making shots. Now you dig in a little bit more. You guard more. You communicate more. You box out, and then you build.
13-0 run, spurred on by Likes, who had 8 in the first 20 minutes, and here in the first 6 has already scored 7 points. Ooh. Working his way around Skara, although there was Thomas waiting for him with a southpaw swat.
There's the harsh reality that you're one growth spurt short of a big-time play right there.
Reed tumbles his way through the defense, draws not only the foul, but also gets the bucket.
The oohs, the ahs, and reality smacks you in the face. Thomas with the shot block. It fuels the transition play, and Reed determined to get to the rim. That's a big-time play from a scorer.
Not a highly recruited guy coming out of high school. In Landover, Maryland, offered by Robert Morris, FGCU, Drexel, and then Richie Riley, the former assistant at Clemson, now the head coach at South Alabama. Found him, saw his talent. Now in his final season with the Tigers, their leading scorer, as they're within 7.
A lot of love given to Likes, but let's not forget Reed is a scorer in his own right. As you just mentioned those numbers, Mike, this is a guy that can take a team that struggles to score in the Tigers and get them going. And a lot of that work is done inside the arc with plays like we just saw in that previous sequence.
Lawrence talented enough that he saw Vasiljevic streak underneath the basket, had a good look, and then decided just to keep it himself.
Yeah, timid defense there from Thomas. Didn't want to come out too far to that elbow to defend, so Lawrence was able to compose and lift.
Slow start for Lawrence. He was 1 of 8. Now he's made his last 2 tries. That's as pure as it gets from Reed.
Reed at his best with that rhythm bounce, create some space, again, inside the arc. Those are big-time shots and right in his sweet spot.
And in a league that features at the top of its scoring ranks a couple of future first-round picks, Reed is in good company there. Another block from Thomas. We mentioned the last 3 games, he'd registered 19 of the team's 29. Had 7 on Saturday against Virginia Tech. Tyson had the 3 halfway down. Skara nearly possessed it. Mitchell turned away, and he's fouled on the attempt.
It's the activity from Thomas. That's been the difference here as Clemson's trying to fight their way back into it. Thomas with the 2 shot blocks. And look right here. This isn't going to fill the stat sheet. Thomas with just enough fight. gets his hand on that basketball, then it becomes a 50-50. Mitchell corrals it, gets to the line. Activity from the big fella. Look, I used to be one of those guys. It's a thankless job. It's a guard-driven game. The coaches talk to the guards more. We talk about the guards more. I'm giving the big fella some love. He's been the difference here as Clemson regains some life. Hey, Mike, what are you? You're 6'4", 6'5"?
Right.
You're with me? We don't talk about the tall guys enough. Thomas is getting it done.
More often than not, they're not creators.
See, this is it.
That's what leads. That's
guys
what leads
like
to
you,
the
Mike.
perceived bias.
It's guys like you. Well, he's generating some energy for his team, and that's translating to points. And the big fella deserves some love.
Clemson back within 5. Miami has led by as many as 10 in this one, as they try and pick up just their 3rd ACC win of the year. They were on the precipice of victory on Saturday in Chapel Hill, a game that went to overtime against North Carolina, ultimately won by the Tar Heels. The sharpshooting Vasiljevic from the corner nails the 3, and the lead is back to 8.
Three-point line has been friendly to the Canes as they've been able to continue to hold on to this lead and create some space.
Thomas frees himself from Izundu's defense and dunks it home.
Zundu took that play off defensively. Was weak side, was ball watching. Pass went right in front of his face, tried to regain himself. Too little, too late.
It's been a challenge for whomever has guarded Likes today. Especially impressive when he's been able to get himself past David Skara, who did a lockdown job on Nickeil Alexander-Walker Saturday, and it's another 3 for Vasiljevic. He'd only been shooting 26% from 3 in his last 7 games, after last year leading the ACC from three-point field goal percentage.
And so much talk with this Canes team about you have one guy step up, but they need a Robin. There's always a Batman. Who's the Robin? Vasiljevic was 16, leading the Canes in scoring. Is that guy tonight?
Trap as the Tigers needed a shot, nails the straightaway 3 with just 1 on the shot clock. It was a low-scoring first half. Both teams hovering around 30%, and things have taken off here in the first 10 minutes of the second half.
Coach Brunell talked about his bench giving them a lift. It's not a deep bench. One guy off it.
Vasiljevic is feeling the hottest hand in the state of Florida right now with another 3.
I'll tell you what, he's getting hot. If it feels good, do it again. Number 1 for 3, Vasiljevic. And the guys love it on the bench.
Cotter Cuff and Farnham in studio over on ESPN Plus. An opportunity to see Chris Clemons, nation's leading scorer. That's him right there. He's got 33 on the night.
Yeah, he's trying to avenge the loss they had to the Pirates earlier in the year where he had a season low 14 points, doing a good job.
He's 37 points shy of 3,000. Farney, Tennessee with a good win.
Yeah, 22 assists on 34 made field goals. The Vols just get it done.
Mike, back to you and Anthony Anderson down there in Coral Gables.
Oh,
That's how good they are, because South Carolina hit double-digit three-pointers. They still come away with the win, and their average point differential this year is almost 18 points a game as they stay perfect in SEC play.
Well, you look at the percentage of scoring from Tennessee. 60% of the scoring comes from juniors, 30% from seniors. This is a team that knows how to get the right shot every time down. And when you eliminate the dumb shots, it makes you awfully hard to beat. But you look at Kentucky as they're headed for that matchup, conversely, a heavy percentage of scoring comes from their young guys, that being freshmen. But at this point in the year, freshmen become sophomores, and those guys are playing like older guys, and that's why it's coming together for Kentucky.
On the run, off the steal, Clyde Trapp, sophomore from South Carolina, gets the bucket, puts Clemson back within 7. They'll need more stops, more transition scoring like that to keep their winning streak alive and extend it to 5 games.
For a team that prides itself on defense, can they put the clamps down on Vasiljevic?
Well, he started off 0 for 3 from 3 and then hit 5 threes in a row. all of a sudden vaulting himself to the game's leading scorer at 19 points. But the Tigers all of a sudden find life from deep, and they're within 4.
Trapp's giving his team good minutes for Clemson off the bench, pushing the tempo, pushing the pace, and finds the open Mitchell in the corner. It's a big-time play. It's the little things. Mitchell will get the love for the 3, but it's Trapp that stands up the defense, commands the attention, kicks out to the lucky lefty, and Mitchell gets it to go. Those are winning plays from a bench performer, and those are the lifts for a team that doesn't go deep into the bench. They need that. You got to spell the starters at times. Can you give quality minutes? The backup primary handler doing exactly that.
Hey, Jordan, the Warriors and Blazers are playing tonight, and after that, after the buzzer with Stan and Neal, Sports Center. Post-game reactions from Warriors and Blazers. James Harden looks to add the Timberwolves to his list of 30-point scoring performances. And questions for the Red Sox. Yes, spring training is here. They begin their defense of their World Series title. Sports Center comes your way on ESPN, the ESPN app, 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. Well, it's certainly been spring training weather here down in South Florida, where it's been a wonderful escape from the cold temperatures of the Midwest for both of us.
Yeah, both teams heating up offensively here in the second half. It's a very welcome thing as we're starting to get a tight one. Last 9 minutes, a lot on the line for Clemson. Again, this is a team looking to build their resume and continue this win streak. Tigers looking to extend it to 5.
The Canes hotter than a sizzling fajita in the second half, shooting 80%, but they've been giving it up a good deal. Foul on the breakout as Clemson picked up another steal, came down the floor, but it's going the other way.
And Trapp just didn't need that. He had 2 guys trailing him, I believe. Could have just left it for one of them. Got to understand what's around you. Look, you got to have eyes in the back of your head, but it's just understanding on the quick look, the couple dribbles before it, knowing your big fella's trailing you. Leave it for him. That's a dunk finish. You're going the other way, and it's a 2-point game.
Well, it looked like Lawrence knew he was out of the play defensively, like he might concede that basket too. Lawrence has a chance with the screen from Izundu. Mismatch guarded by Thomas. Johnson from the corner, the 3. Thomas rumbles down the lane and sends it with nice touch off the window.
It's a tough play. I don't like the spot where it was delivered to Thomas. Pretty footwork enables him to finish with the offhand at the rim. That's a tough play from a big fella. Very nimble despite his size and stature.
7 straight for the Tigers to pull themselves within a bucket. Likes with just one quick hesitation. Shook Trapp off of him. And Likes goes to the line, but Elijah Thomas taking it from the top of the key all the way to the bucket. Couple of dribbles, 1 basket, and a 1-score game. ESPN and the ACC will bring you the ACC Network in August. 15 universities make up this great conference. 1 network will bring you all the action. Go to getaccn.com to learn more. There's Lonnie Walker, 18th overall draft pick by the Spurs, coming back from a meniscus injury after being a McDonald's All-American at a Reading, PA. Played his college ball here for the Hurricanes, and Jim Larinaga. And that bucket there from Chris Likes breaks up a 7-0 Clemson run that had pulled them to within 2.
Lonnie was a problem in his 1 year here in Miami. He could play. Spurs being patient with him down there, because that's kind of been the trend with the Spurs, letting their young guys adjust, then really break out. Lonnie Walker's going to be one of those guys at the next level. Crazy athlete.
Looking inside for Thomas. Wardenberg breaks it up. Reed corrals it. Still 13 to shoot on a frenetic possession. 1 dribble, a lowered shoulder, and Amir Sims with the offensive foul is whistled for his 4th personal.
It's a big-time play in a tight game for Wardenberg. Big-time play. Great awareness. Huge turnover.
So the Tigers have a quick turnaround Saturday, noon tip on ESPN against Louisville. Then they see Florida State Boston College, Pittsburgh, and then against North Carolina to start the month of March.
Those next 2 games, those are very tough ones. Easy to get down on yourself if you have a loss here versus Miami, to have to go into a place in Louisville, and that team's going to be hungry to get back out there. And then Florida State at home. Clemson's got to get these kind of games. This is a must-have, Mike. They got to have this game. The last 7 minutes here, critical for what this team's trying to accomplish this year. They're dangerous. Nobody wants to see them in the tournament field, much like a year ago. But it starts with winning games like this on the road.
And Jordan, it can be somewhat of an eye-rolling phrase when coaches say, well, every game in this league is hard. But then you look at the schedule and you go, all right, find a guaranteed win on there, and you can't do it.
Yeah, Miami's a guaranteed win, right? They're not doing anything in this conference. Well, they almost went to Carolina and won that game. That just speaks to what can happen in this conference. There truly is no nights off. Not to mention right now, as you look at it, 8 tournament teams, and who knows, it could finish with 9 or could end up being 7. But regardless, there's a lot of competition in this conference, and the margin for error, slim.
I think it's a great testament. You mentioned the Saturday game that went to overtime against UNC, to how great a tactician Jim Larinaga is in his 35th year as a head coach, to be able to get his team to execute to a T exactly what they needed to do to nearly nab that road win at the Smith Center.
Yeah, and I asked him, I said, let's talk bubble. He said, no, we're just looking to get better every game. As you look at this schedule, show me where the guarantees are. Boston College is dangerous. At Pittsburgh, they're still dangerous. Carolina, Florida State, Louisville speak for themselves. Notre Dame is a team, if they get hot shooting, and they're always good at home and competitive. And then Syracuse with the matchup zone, something that they've struggled with.
And the Notre Dame game is a 9 o'clock tip-off.
9 o'clock on the road, nobody wants
not an unusual time in this league, but when you're on the road, you got to sit around all day in the hotel just waiting for tip-off.
And historically, Notre Dame shoots it well at home. And Notre Dame's one of those teams, when they get hot, they're dangerous. And they could be making shots at home. So there's nothing there that's a gimme. That's why the teams that aren't ranked, those you got to approach as, we have to have them. If we want to be a tournament team, must-haves. And then you go and try and steal some of those against those ranked upper-class teams.
Reed got his teammates in orange and regalia standing on the bench as he earns himself a trip to the line. How about, can we get a Jordan Cornette fashion review today for the gray and orange uniforms?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like the gray look. Alternate uniforms, I'll tell you, this sounds crazy, but the guys on the team, they love this kind of stuff. It gives them a little bit more juice to get out there and play. What Jerry Rice used to say, look good to play good. It's a big part of it, man. Feeling the grays.
Best alternate uni in the league?
I might have to go with these. Look, I grew up a Bengals fan.
I like Notre Dame's green ones. Those are good.
Not going to argue with you on that one. But this has a little Bengals flair to it with the tiger stripes on the side. I like what they're doing here. Very in tune with the times. It is the end of Fashion Week in New York right now. I see what you're doing down there. I like it.
Who knows? I might wear a meat suit one day.
Big time play from Likes.
He makes it a 4-point game with 5:15 to go. Hurricanes fighting for just their 3rd conference win of the year. Trapp was in the corner calling for it. A drop off for Thomas, who's rejected emphatically from behind by Lawrence.
Thomas didn't handle the ball cleanly. And when he juggled it a little bit, defense recovered to make the play. Great drive from Trapp. And look, just a little bobble right there allows a bevy of defenders to recover in. Take your pick. Who wants to block that one?
Lawrence goes by Amp. Provides a spark defensively. Thomas draws 3 defenders. Nobody's able to stop him that time. Thomas now up to 16. Owes for anybody on Clemson side tonight. Mitchell behind him with 15. And it's still Vasiljevic in the corner at the top of your screen right now with a game-high 19 for Miami.
This is a matchup you want. You got to clear it out. This got to be an ISO. Watch how Likes will create space here to his advantage if he gets it.
He nearly throws it away. Vasiljevic wants 3 free throws. I don't know if his foot might have been on the line there. I think they're going to look at the monitor.
Yeah, I think he towed it. I think this is ultimately going to be a 2-point attempt. Either way, a silly foul. Let's take a look. Watch the feed here. Gets him set. Oh, no, he's behind.
That's all three.
There's day.
Our officiating trio today, Bert Smith, Ron Groover, Tim Clockerty. Foul is on Clyde Trapp, his fourth for the Tigers.
Now, you hope this is a quick decision because I know Cotter, Farnham, Dallin back there in studio want all the time they can have. So we got to move this along so they can pontificate and share some knowledge with us. We want them to have all the time they can. So let's move this along here. Right, Mike? That's the idea.
Well, we got a good game coming up after us, too. We'll go to the Big 12. Texas Tech, second highest rated team in the AP poll in the Big 12, behind Kansas, number 14. They haven't won there since 2016.
I just want some cuff Cotter and Farnham beforehand, just to set the table.
That's what America clamors for. So Vasiljevic gets 3 free throws after the foul. 19 points, all 5 3-pointers coming in the second half. And he ties his career high there with 20 points, which he set earlier this year, back in mid-November. Jim Larinaga occupies his seat at the middle of the Miami bench. An interesting spot, flanked by his assistants, Chris Caputo to the left, Adam Fisher to the right. Both guys have been with him for a long time. And that bench configuration, you see as he occupies the middle there, goes back to his days as a Virginia assistant, starting in the late 70s into the early 80s with Terry Holland. And so what he's able to do is have his coaches broken up there. Chris Caputo talks to the guards, Fisher talks to the bigs, and the communication is done most efficiently that way. Reed, the fall away from 14 feet, left it short. Wardenberg has it, 4:15 to go, Miami by 5. And Likes is getting ready to come back into the game with the next whistle for the Canes. Lawrence pushed off.
Charge.
Offensive foul on Lawrence.
These are opportunities within a game where you struggle to score, right? Vasiljevic, he's not as hot as he was, but he's banged down 5 threes in his half. So why not in that moment dribble away from him, give him a screen on a weak side, open him up for catch and shoot opportunity? Why not go back and check on his temperature right there? That's a missed opportunity. When a big basket there would propel your team here down the stretch in the last 4 minutes of play.
On the backdoor cut, Reed is rejected, and a late whistle keeps action down at this end of the floor with a foul called against Johnson. That's the 4th on Miami's guard. A 5-point game down the stretch.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels and Twix. It's time to decide.
Chris Cotter back in Bristol with an update on our nation's leading scorer. That's Chris Campbell from the Campbell Camels. Let's say that 3 times fast. On ESPN Plus, Farney.
Yeah, ESPN Plus, $4.99 a month.
He's got 44
$4.99,
points.
by the way.
He's 9th all time. He just passed Oscar Robertson. That's pretty good. Jared Culver and Texas Tech coming up next. They'll tip it up in 18 minutes against Oklahoma State, guys.
Chris Clemons also passed Danny Manning tonight on the all-time scoring list. 30-point game. Of course, we know he's into the 40s now. His 10th of the year, most in the country.
Really hope that team gets to March, don't you?
And it's the type of year where people have said, people much smarter than you or I, this is a very weak bubble this year. And so that's a decision for the committee to make when the time comes. Do you allow a team from a power conference, which has a record that's okay to get in, or a team from a non-power league that's had a really good year and say, all right, let's roll the dice on this team and see how they do?
There's no right answer.
No, there is. It's let the non-power team go in and just let's have a little bit of fun in March.
Right.
Vasiljevic from the corner tries another 3, still sitting on 5, but he's got a career-high 22 to pace Miami. Likes goes diving for it. He misses, and Vasiljevic recovers.
And if I'm Miami, I still look at Vasiljevic again. Likes with the drive and kick. If Likes has something, go. Vasiljevic is still 5 of 7 from 3 in this half.
It's been exactly the type of game they expected from Vasiljevic all season long. Had only shot 26% from 3 over his last 7 games, but has been scorching this evening. Likes beats the buzzer as he sneaks his way through the lane. Continues to impress night in and night out. He's got 21 and picks up the foul as second.
Just understanding and awareness of what's within his capabilities. That's tough to guard. That low center of gravity, Reed, who's a good defender, can only hang for so long, but when you can't get as low as the opposition who has the basketball, you're going to have an advantage. So for many people, they think 5'7", well, Likes can't compete. No, it's actually advantageous for driving opportunities like that, and that's how he shoots that gap and finishes.
Clemson perfect from the line tonight, 12 for 12. Helping them close this to perhaps a 3-point margin. 4-game winning streak hangs in the balance for the Tigers, 63-60.
It's like when I called Damon Stoudemire Mighty Mouse. And just take the comparison, the metaphor for what it is here. Try chasing a mouse and catching it. Like, you can't. This young man is so fast and so skilled. You can't keep up with him when he's got his eye on where he wants to go. And Scar, who's a great defender, has not been challenged like this, and Likes wants the ISO.
Look at how they cleared out the lane. All 4 defenders are on the perimeter to give Likes space to work. Just 1 on the shot clock. Hence the quick shot from Johnson. Quickly the other way. Trapp with the right hand gets it in. That's a 1-point contest with Miami in front. Miami hasn't lost this year with the lead inside of 2 minutes. 10-0.
Clemson has won with defense. If you're going to get a victory on the road, you got to lock in and defend, protecting the paint, not allowing Likes to cut you up, and closing out on 3-point shooters here. Can they do it?
A hesitation. A long pull-up for 2. Wide, Johnson fights for it. Tigers have numbers. Reed leads the charge to the bucket. No, and Scara, the follow is off the rim. Tipped out of bounds and stays here.
Wow, when the bunny becomes a bear. Scara, point-blank range. Rushed it. Clemson's got another go.
For a basket that would have given the Tigers the lead.
Brunell can't believe it. There's a lot on the line here, I'm telling you. Clemson knows it. Must-have games. Can they close out?
Mitchell gets it in for Thomas and gets it right back. Full shot clock to work with. Scara bullets at baseline. Foul on the outside.
And Mike, again, I tell you, I keep saying must-have, and everybody's thinking it's mid-February. How's it a must-have? Well, look what's on the line. 15-8, 5-5 in conference. Most importantly, Lenardi projection. That's a seed, which means they're in the tournament. Not a lot of quality wins. Virginia Tech is at 139th in net. But then when you look at what they have ahead, they still have Louisville. They still have Florida State. They still got North Carolina. There are teams ahead of them that are big-time challenges. There's no gimmies in this conference, but this is the closest thing to it. You cannot be a tournament team and puff your chest out if you lose to a 2-9 team. I don't care where it's at.
And it's a perilous spot. They're in as a number 10 seed right now. However, they went from not the first 4 out, they went from the next 4 out to in. Shows you how dangerous that teeter-tottering ride of the bubble can be. As Clemson remains perfect from the free throw line, 15 for 15. They launched themselves back into the lead, 64-63. Timeout, and we got a full timeout. So Miami going to be looking for a bucket here. What's the talk like in the Clemson huddle now that they've gotten back in front?
Controlling the dribble drive of Likes. If you're going to show hard on the ball screen to make him retreat, dribble, and ultimately give it up. You want somebody else to beat you outside of the 5'7" guard who's been dominant in the second half. Now, if it's going to be somebody else, you still don't want it to be Vasiljevic. He's 5 of 7 here from the three-point line in the second half. There must be an awareness of him. So that leaves 3 other guys. Can they beat you? These are capable scorers. All guys on the floor for Miami average double figures, but it starts with taking the ball out of Likes' hands at the point guard position.
When he drives, we saw before as they spread the floor and put players in every corner to give him maximum space. This is something every team does the day of the game. They go through the scouting report. They tell you who to help off of, who not to. This is the most crucial time to be able to remember that when you have to help with Likes driving or shooting.
Absolutely. You see plays like this, degree of difficulty high. That was a challenge from Skara. Then on this one, help side. Don't try and get cute. Don't try to steal it. Don't try to block it. Just be a long body. That in itself is enough of a deterrent to make Likes either give it up or take a very difficult shot. Don't worry about the shot block. Don't worry about the steal. Defensive positioning is golden, and it can be beneficial towards creating stops. Again, Clemson is a team riding a 4-game high. You want to get to that 5th win, you got to dance with who brought you. It's been their defense during this stretch. Can they deliver in the last minute and 11 seconds?
Tigers this year have been 4th best in the league in points allowed per game at 64 points.
Crazy.
Miami about to eclipse that perhaps on this possession.
Crazy to think 5'7" stands in the way of a win streak, but that's how talented Mr. Likes is. So fun to watch.
Likes sizes up trap, gets him in the air, and doesn't get the foul call.
Wow.
In disbelief, as are many inside the Watsco Center.
It's a point of emphasis to not reward that three-point shooter, but I felt like there was a lot of contact there.
Time to shoot for Mitchell and the Tigers. Off the crossover. Back up top for Reed, their leading scorer. Through traffic, high off the window, no good. 20 seconds to go. Miami down 1, and Likes with the ball. Heading right for the basket.
Got to get it back to Likes. Got to go get the basketball.
Here goes Johnson. A drive and a shot for the lead is in! Miami is in front with 1/10 of a second to go.
Exactly how you drew it up, right, Mike? I thought this was doomed from jump. I thought Likes should have got back to the basketball. Johnson, though a competent scorer, has played a lot of basketball. This is good defense. This is moving with him all the way. Mitchell with the contest, but the bank was open here after hours in Coral Gables.
So 1/10 of a second remains on the shot clock. They need at least 3/10 of a second to get a shot off. And as that ball dropped through the cylinder, it looks like certainly at least half a second will be put back on the clock. So they need a heave down court to get any type of a decent look to try and turn this into a victory.
It's a big-time play. Johnson has not had his best night. 2 of 9. 2 of 8 going into it right there. But again, played a lot of basketball, confident. The ball does go in, 0.4 at best, which is huge because that allows for a shot. So the game is not over. If it was 0.1, it'd be done. 0.4 gives you that opportunity for a prayer. We've seen crazy things happen. Look no further than last night, right, Mike? Duke Louisville. Could we continue the streak here?
Clemson trying to extend its winning streak to 5 games. They went from 1-5 to 5-5 in the ACC into the NCAA tournament projected field. Miami going for just its 3rd ACC win of the season in 12 tries. Their only other wins in the league against Wake Forest and Notre Dame. So they've got a lanky lineup on the floor. For the Hurricanes defensively, Jim Larinaga had 1 timeout to use. You can't take it with you. And as he sees what Clemson wanted to do offensively, he utilizes the final timeout.
It's just got to be a seamless ball delivered, quick tip and throw. You need elite size and athleticism for lift to even get this off. The only guy that comes to mind that could maybe pull this off is going to be Thomas at that mid-post area. But this is not going to be your Christian Laettner catch, fake one-way turn and release. There's not enough time for that. This has to be a catch and guide that basketball in. Degree of difficulty as high as it gets right here. You need a miracle if you're Miami. But going back to Zach Johnson, senior. Guys played a lot of basketball. Guys who scored a lot at Florida Gulf Coast. A confident performer with amnesia. Forgets what he's done the first 39 minutes and some change in this game. Felt confident to look off likes. Felt confident to look off everybody else and deliver a basket when needed.
Jim Larinaga just told Ibuka Izundu to front exactly who you were talking about. Elijah Thomas standing there at the free throw line.
What you won't want to do is foul here.
2 inbounders, and the heave down court, tipped out of bounds, and the game is over. Miami comes up with its 3rd ACC win of the year and ends Clemson's 4-game winning streak, dealing a blow to their NCAA tournament hopes. Miami at 65, Clemson 64 from Coral Gables. Up next, number 15, Texas Tech on the road in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. For now, it's back to the studio with Dallin Cuff and Sean Farnham. Here's Chris Cotter.